It's DEW Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this DEW Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And we started off with a couple of warnings. We got a recall on chicken. There's a line of chicken that has been sold in Alabama, Alaska, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Oregon, Tennessee, and Washington. Yes, it is the private selection honey Dijon boneless, skinless chicken breast with rib meat. And please, if you have that in your freezer, if you have it in your refrigerator, feel free to take it back to the store you got it from, because it contains eggs. If you have an egg allergy, it was distributed without noting that it has eggs. So please, if you have an egg allergen, please take it back. You can get your money back without a problem, because there is a global recall. We also talked about your restaurant behaviors, and when it comes to filling out that signing that receipt and tipping your server. Listen, we had a guy who had a bill that initially was $64. He wrote in 0 on the tip line, and when he got his receipt online, he saw that it was $84. And when he asked for a copy of the receipt, there was a 2 that had been written beside the 0, and they changed the total to 84 from 64. So we have to really be careful. You know, we had a couple of golden nuggets sent through the chat room. There's people who said that they put like something right, like X's or something, right before and after the tip line, or right before and after, like right around your 0, put an X so people can't add anything. Really, really good idea. And I always put my signature right beside the amount that I've written in. Well, now I'm going to start putting my signature on the left-hand side. That way I know can't nobody do nothing with my numbers. Yeah, so, a couple of warnings. Big time. We had a picture and a story of some teachers who utilized a rope. They were using a red rope. One teacher was in the front, one teacher was in the back, and the children in between were toddlers, were holding onto the rope. And that's to kind of streamline, we can keep our eye on everybody. We ain't got to worry about nobody running, missing from the line. Several, ways to kind of control your children when they go out. And 90% thought it was quite crafty to actually operate like that. We even had our girlfriend Viv in the chat room, who said how vital something like that is, useful something like that is. But as always, you had your complainers in the article. You did have some DEW Time crews see the opposite side of this thing, and you can't force people to see the value of things, and you can't force people to. Everybody doesn't always agree, but we talked about how vital that is to Jesus, to us, when it comes to Jesus and God, that there is a rope that is in between us, them rather. We are in between, and you know what? Holding on to that rope just might help you make it to the finish line. Seeing that rope as, God is forcing me to do things. And, somebody even wrote in the article, what are you worried about? They're not choking the kids. Nothing's wrapped around the neck. That's the way people see our relationship with God and God's guidance. Like they're forced to do something, like somebody's choking them and forcing them and dragging them around. But that is the beauty of who God is, that he would not have it any other way than for us to be given a rope, some latitude of movement, and we can make the decision on our own to stay put and follow the guidance, or as Pastor Brenda said yesterday, become the Tasmanian devil and woo, you're off and running. So it was an excellent conversation yesterday. And we invite you to go back and listen right here on YouTube. You can listen on, you can watch on Facebook if you can watch, but you can listen. Oh, check us out on the podcast side. Check us out on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts, FeedSpot, Audible.com, Amazon. We are all over the place. Any place where you go for your streaming, that's where we are. All right. So that's how we spent our Tuesday. Well, today is Wow Wednesday, everybody. We're halfway through the week by the grace of God. And our girl Vivian is waiting in the wings so she can give us her socially conscious segment. I don't know what Vivian's going to come up with today. I don't even want to hear the wow story, because if you missed last week's wow story, ooh, baby, put your boots on and go back and check it out. So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, everybody that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Could be trapping water under your skin like a soaked sponge. Try celery juice for 3 days. Your body flushes excess water, your jawline sharpens, and people will notice the difference. Your face may be holding excess water, and many people mistake it for fat. Drink celery and cucumber juice before 8 a.m., and it can help flush out excess water within 48 hours.
Between 2 and 4 a.m., your gut works hard to reset and clear waste. Try pineapple and mint 1 hour before bed. By morning, your belly will feel lighter and less bloated. Your estrogen is 71% out of balance. That is the mood swings and stubborn belly fat. Try adding avocado and spinach to your meals for 7 days.
Your arteries may already be under strain, making blood flow slower than it should. Try beet and ginger on an empty stomach for 7 days to support healthy circulation. Not pills, not surgery, not a $200 doctor visit. Follow these smoothies from your fridge and you may start noticing a lighter belly, better digestion, and more natural energy.
good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. And it is Wow Wednesday. Now, by the grace of God, we've been able to wake up today. And while everybody else is trying to figure out what they're going to do with the hump day, we are rejoicing because we have Wow Wednesday. So if you're in the room, please let me know. And I will give you a big shout out. And I'm looking forward to seeing who's in the chat room this morning. And for some reason, my iPad is not mirroring my laptop. So y'all work with me this morning. Let's say good morning to our girl, Ketty. Hey, Ketty girl. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We got King Terrence in the house. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you so much. We have a check-in from Miss Jones. I'm going to say it like that because I can't see the first name. She says, I like and subscribe. Thank you so much. We're so appreciative of you this morning. We got a check-in from our girl, Lady Tamika, on this side of the screen, but we can't wait to get to talking to her on the flip side. So good morning to you as well. Hey, Serge, what's going on, my brother? Good morning. Happy traveling this morning. Tamika says, I've been doing beet and ginger since the beginning of June with the weekends off. Both my husband and I have seen a difference. It's easy to shed weight. All right. Well, thank you for that caveat. Thank you for that caveat. We got a check-in from Miss Grace. Oh, that is wonderful. Before I can get to shout you out. Hey, Miss Grace, thank you so much for joining us. Glad that you are with us and hope you are doing real well. All right, Benjamin, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate that. We need to build that subscriber base, y'all. The more subscribers we get, the more we get spit out into the algorithm, and we so appreciate you also. Please tell about It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Oh, Rasta is in the house here from New Zealand. God bless. Good morning, and God bless you too. What time is it in New Zealand? I always like to ask when people come in from a different country. I always like to ask, so tell us what time, you're in. Okay. Well, thank you so much. If you're in the room, good morning to you. Thank you so much for the shout outs. We so appreciate you. Well, okay. So it's 11:19 p.m. So we're only at 7:19 p.m. So you've got us by 12 hours, like 14-hour difference. Wow. All right. So you are a late night owl. Yeah, at 11 o'clock. We just getting this morning started, Rasta. So you give us some of that energy through the line. All right. So our girlfriend Vivian is in the wings waiting to give us what she's got this morning on that socially conscious line. Let's say good morning to our girl Viv. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy Wow Wednesday. How are you, Pastor Steph?
I am well, thank you. How are you doing?
I am great.
That is wonderful to hear. No kitties this week.
Yes.
Was it reminiscent yesterday when you saw the little people with the little rope? Did you miss them?
No, I didn't miss them. But it reminded me of them.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sure they're missing Miss Vivian. And I know you can't wait to get back to them, girl. I'll keep your secret. Oh my goodness gracious. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I always like to ask what you got for us today.
All right. Today on Socially Conscious, we are starting off with some good news. Reports are saying that for decades, the conversation around the Black family has often focused on the decline of marriage rates, but new data tells a more hopeful story. They're saying in 2010, about 29% of Black adults in the United States were married, which worked out to roughly 10 million people. By 2023, that number has grown about 35%, which is an estimate of 12 million Black adults who were married. That's about a 20% increase over the last decade, and the first sustained rise in nearly 40 years. Wow. Now, although this would never make the news reports anywhere else, we celebrate this positive trend that challenges the narrative that strong Black families do not exist. They are disappearing. And despite the economic, the social challenges, and all these challenges that are going on, the racial challenges, many families are moving in a more hopeful direction. So let's celebrate that increase in the Black marriages in over 40 years, that increase in Black marriages in over 40 years. Thank God for that. Next, we have a call from Mayor Mamdani for our New York listeners. If you are not aware, we are about to be approaching a record high heat wave. Record high heat wave. They're saying that heat is more than just uncomfortable, it can be deadly. New York has declared a heat emergency as dangerous temperatures and humidity move into the area. City officials are urging everyone to one, stay hydrated, limit your time outdoors, take advantage of their cooling systems. If you do not have AC or cooling methods in your home, there are so many places you can go out in the city to get some cool air. But more importantly, Mayor Mamdani wants to remind us to check in on our elderly neighbors, our young children, and people with medical conditions. If you know anyone personally out there, please make sure you're checking on them during this heat wave, since they are at the highest risk of heat-related illnesses. They're saying the numbers show a great concern. Back in 2023, at least 2,325 people died from heat-related causes across the United States, which was the highest number recorded in more than 2 decades, and more than double the number of heat-related deaths reported back in the 1990s. In New York City alone, they're saying heat contributed to an average of about 490 deaths each year in New York City alone, often by making heat, often because the heat made existing heart and lung conditions worse. So make sure you yourselves are taking precautions, stay hydrated, stay indoors if you can, and make sure you're checking on your people during this emergency heat wave. Next, we have our boy Trump in the headlines as he and his administration team has decided to suspend federal funding for New York's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. He and his administration team says that the state has not brought enough criminal Medicaid fraud cases to the table for him to find it necessary to fund this unit. And of course, New York officials disagree, arguing that their investigation have recovered hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars and that they need these funds to continue doing what they do. Which brings us to an interesting story that shows this exact problem as Trump and his administration team are making claims that there are not enough criminal Medicaid fraud cases to fund this unit. Prosecutors say a Long Island man submitted more than 6,000 fraudulent Medicaid claims between 2023 and 2025. So if one man between the year of 2023 and 2025 submitted 6,000 fraudulent Medicaid claims on his own, how is there not enough? They said that this one man stole over $2.5 million by billing for specialized baby formula intended to help sick infants. Authorities allege that many families received cheaper formula or no formula at all as he pocketed the money. They said that with this money, he was able to purchase a $1.6 million mansion, luxury vehicles, and other high-end items. The state is seeking $7.6 million in damages, and the case remains ongoing. So this investigation comes again as the state and the federal officials continue to debate how Medicaid fraud should be investigated, prosecuted, and whether or not it should be funded. And now we have our wow story of the week. If you haven't already heard of the 11-year-old boy with autism from Long Island who woke up before his parents, packed a suitcase, booked an Uber, and made it all the way to JFK International Airport by himself because he wanted to fly to Japan. Airport staff found him safely walking through the terminal before he could get on any plane, and Port Authority police reunited him with his family. His parents are now demanding answers, questioning how he was allowed to ride alone in this Uber when Uber's policy prohibits unaccompanied minors. So they are definitely sounding the alarm, saying that Uber and all of these other ride share companies need to make sure that they are working on these policies, that they're putting different things in place, that these drivers understand these policies and they are not driving off with unattended children in their vehicles. Thankfully, this young boy was found and returned safely to his parents, but Lord knows how bad this situation could have been. And we actually have the video of this young boy entering into this Uber on his own. So Shantice, you can play that video after my closing. But this has been Vivian with Socially Conscious, giving you the news that we are following. And remember, if you have any wild stories you would like to submit, please feel free to direct message me on Facebook. My username there is Vivian BM, and come back every Wednesday to find out if your story has been chosen. Thank you, as always, to our loyal viewers and listeners, and thank you, Pastor Steph.
Ah, thank you, Vivian. Always. You must have like this secret arsenal where you go to get these stories because I just can't find them the way you do. Oh my goodness. All right, let's get to chatting about these items. Let's get our ladies. We have our lady Tamika on. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Happy
All
Wow
right,
Wednesday.
All right, thanks, and happy Wow Wednesday to you as well. Let's say good morning to our girl Shantice. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, ladies?
All right. Okay, so before we go any further, we have a prayer request from Benjamin. Can you please pray for me? I'm sorry for lying to God. So we'll make sure we include you in the prayer, in our prayers. And Rasta is coming back with a nice acknowledgement. He's just praying for you. Terrence says that little boy is smart. You have to watch him when he gets older. All righty. Well, let's see what's going on. All right. So we're starting off with Vivian's story of after decades of decline, we now see an incline or an increase of Black couples, married couples. So instead of the divorce rate going up, now we have the married rate going up. So back in 2010, they said they had 10 million married couples, and now they have 30 million married couples registered, which has been the first in 40 years. We've had a change, which indicates that there are strong Black families, and contrary to what has been put out there. And despite economic and social challenges, we are managing to keep it together according to the numbers. So should we celebrate the increase? Should we celebrate these numbers? Lady Tamika.
I knew you'd go to me first. Ironically,
Yeah.
I represent one of those sets of marriages that happened in 2023, which I thank God for. My thing is marriage is work. The thing that most people don't realize is it is work. Every day it's work. Now, I want to make sure that within a decade from this time frame, that those that got married in 2023 are still together. My thing is, you got to have that stick to itness. The mindset of I'm gonna sleep on the couch and you sleep on the bed is no longer acceptable. You have to put in the work. Both parties have to put in the work to make sure that you stay together. First of all, you utilize God, because without God, nothing is possible.
Amen. Shantice, we have, a real big jump from 10 million in 2010 to now 13 million registered couples. They say, hey, marriage is not on the decline, or divorce is not going up. It's actually going down. What say you about those numbers?
That's what my mind was going to. Are we celebrating the decline of divorce rates rather than trying to celebrate the incline of registered marriages? Because a whole lot of us can run out and get married, but what's the success rate? Are we getting married and now contemplating murder? Are we getting married and now having open relationships? Are we getting married and now doing everything contrary to how God has for marriage to be in general, and how he has for this personalized marriage to be? So a lot of times in our culture, we'll celebrate the ceremony, we'll celebrate the reception, and the bridesmaids, and how much did my dress cost, and so on and so forth. But are we celebrating the quality more than the quantity?
All right. An interesting question. What about you, Viv?
That's also where my mind went, the quality over the quantity. Unfortunately, we don't know how many of those marriages are good quality, but I think it's still worth celebrating that Black people are married and staying married, because when you speak to a lot of people these days, nobody believes in marriage anymore. Nobody wants to get
Mm-hmm.
married. They see no point in getting married. So it's good to see that there's still some people who understand the importance of being married, and that it's not just a piece of paper, and that not only are they getting married, but they're able to stay married. And it has been the largest consistent increase in over 40 years. So let's celebrate that, but definitely keeping in mind that staying married is not the goal. Like, it's not the only goal, I should say, but staying happily married and in a godly marriage is the goal.
All righty, all righty. Terrence says numbers lie, couples don't. Haha. All right. He's agreeing with Shantice, and he says, I agree with you too, V. And that's instantaneously where my mind went. Not that I was not celebrating, the increase of marriages and the the decreases of, or the decline in divorces. As a matter of fact, I think that that's what I will celebrate, the marriage, the decrease of divorces. However, I can't help but continue to look at our news each day, where they give us real stories. A lot of people say, oh, the media, they like to promote the media ain't making up stories. So even if the stories are not, let's say, completely accurate, it's funny because over the last couple of years, I don't know if you've noticed, but we've had an increase of couple stories. So I find that very interesting.
Oh,
My prayer, what'd you say?
I
You're
said, oh
nodding your
yeah.
head? Yeah, we've seen a heavy
Yes.
increase on couple stories. And,
Mhm.
my prayer is that, a lot of these marriages that are registered, they do, like you ladies have said, that they are quality marriages and not just, a piece of paper. Although you may not say it's a piece of paper, you will, sometimes act as, a piece of paper. And just praying that when people are getting married, they really go into it with a big understanding of what marriage is, and not just getting married, just to be getting married, say yes to the dress type of thing. So, there is some room to celebrate, because, the more marriages we have, the more success stories we have. So, we're, even if they're not all successful, that means that there is an increase in somebody doing something right. So there is reason to celebrate overall. All righty. So we have, predictions from Mayor Mamdani, that there will be record high heat in New York City coming down the pipeline. And, we all remember, past summers where, it's been deadly for some. Back in 2023, there were 2,325 people who died across the United States. And on average, there's almost 500 deaths each year due to this heat. And for those who have heart and lung conditions, it makes it much worse that there's heat at this magnitude and for this long. So they're cautioning us to get into their cooling locations, which started, a nice amount of time ago, where they're, opening up like centers and things like that, especially for the elderly, so you can go and find, something cooler, as well as, just watching out, making sure you check in on your people, especially your elderly. Shantice, Someone who likes the heat.
Yeah.
What we talking about here? Yeah.
We are talking about enjoying the weather. Definitely talking about loving water, because that soda ain't gonna get it. That juice ain't gonna get it. Pastor Steph has turned me on to this tea that she makes, this iced tea that she makes, and it is strictly healthy based green tea, another herbal tea, well, two other herbal teas, so the cinnamon sticks, so just like a drop of agave, so good. And even with that being so healthy, nothing beats water. Nothing beats water. So you're gonna have to make sure, whether you're out in the heat, whether you find a library or somewhere to duck into, because I know growing up, that's what we used to do a lot of times. Oh, it's a heat wave coming, we're gonna chill at the library. Wherever you go, make sure you have your water with you, because that is going to be what helps. Also, the way we eat. I was telling Pastor Steph, I've noticed how like my body feels different, especially in the heat, when I consume so much junk and fried food. Like your body just feels hotter and heavier versus when you eat healthier. So all of these things will help whether this was something that was able to be predicted and we can quote unquote prepare for, or whether the heat wave was just sprung on us. If we're taking care of our body and stuff like that, we'll already be ready. The saying that says stay ready so you don't have to get ready, because you can't get ready for stuff like this like that before you find yourself passed out somewhere, because you just can't put the ring dings down long enough to pick up the fruit and the vegetables in order to keep your body light and ready to combat this heat, because those numbers are crazy.
All righty. Vivian, how do you like the heat? And what say you during this anticipated heat wave?
I don't like the heat at all. At all. But it's definitely crazy to see those numbers, because when you're just going about your day, you don't really think about the people who are challenged by this heat wave. Luckily, I haven't really noticed it too much, because it's like from the house to the car, from the car to my job, from my job to my car. So I haven't really noticed too much of it, thank God. But definitely want to keep in mind, like Shanti said, and like they cautioned us, making sure we're drinking water. Out here in Florida, this heat is something else. And water is necessary. Water is definitely necessary. Stay indoors if you can. They thank God that they had someone who was wise enough to think about cooling centers, having places for people to go. They're expanding the hours of pools. So if you want to be out in the pool, they're allowing you to go out, and the pools are free. So you can go out and, take a dip in the cold water, and you can have that opportunity to stay out there a little bit longer. So definitely keep this in mind. Don't take this stuff lightly. To hear those numbers shows that this is something serious, and for this to be a record-breaking heat wave, and if you've experienced the heat waves before, this is beating those. Please be safe.
Yes, and yes. Lady Tamika, how do you fare in this heat? Is she having problems with her audio?
I love this weather. I
okay.
always do. I always have. I am very cautious and safe in it. I keep treats. I make them myself, so I don't have to go out and get ices because they're filled with sugar. I specify how much sugar is in one thing or not. Watermelon is crucial during this time of the year. Celery, cucumber. I make my own popsicles and things like that. So there's always something healthy, as opposed to, you getting a popsicle that's filled with sugar and sweets and, That sugar, most people think, oh, the sugar is refreshing. No, it's not, because you need water right after it. Even if you do ice cream, you ever notice right after that, you need water. It's like all of a sudden you get really thirsty. Just have to be very, very careful for those who have issues with breathing, asthma, emphysema, COPD, even some skin conditions, because most people don't realize it. Some people that have heat flashes or rashes. Some people get rashes this time of the year, so you have to be very, very cautious about that. But I'm an advocate of this weather, so and I have a little fan. I don't have it now, but I will get it before the end of the day. I keep that, so that's another way to keep cool.
All righty. You, Lady Tamika, and Shantice can have this heat. I'm with Vivian on this one. Keep the sun away from me. I can't stand it. It is so uncomfortable for me, and heat, and there's nothing about it I enjoy. I'm sorry. I give God thanks that I can feel it, but no. I'll sooner take the cold than I'll take the heat, because I can get warm. No matter what you do, you gonna be hot. Look at these two. Look at this. Look at their faces. Look at their faces. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah. I'm a proponent for being able to do something. Ain't nothing you can do about no heat. There's nothing good about heat. You're gonna be hot. So I remember younger, I used to sleep with a frozen towel on my chest. And thank God that I have no pneumonia. Oh my gosh. I just think about some of the stuff that you do. But thank God for the pools. Thank God, for the cooling centers that they have implemented. It's been a good 7-8 years since out here in Queens they've done it. And, it's because everybody, cannot afford an AC. And, they not only that, but to be honest with you, it pulls the weight. And I want to point this out. It pulls the weight off the circuits. I don't know if a lot of people think about that. If everybody's in their house and they're running an AC, you have a larger chance at a blackout because everybody's pulling. So especially for homes that don't have central air. So now you have one bedroom running, one other area running, so forth and so on. But the cooling centers allow for not only, to pull the weight down, but to be with other people. That's you're not so miserable if you're, with others. And I actually like it. I don't go to them, but I actually like the concept of, just being with other people. But, I'm with Vivian. I didn't realize the numbers were like this. I never paid attention to it like this. And when I heard her, and I'm typing it, I'm like, oh my God, like 500 deaths average a year. That's a lot of people that are perishing to the heat. So, giving God thanks that we've made it and helping others to make it should be our focus. Remember, if there is a cooling center, please find it. That way, you're not pulling the weight on the, your energy, so that, we have a bigger potential for the blackout. I remember, do y'all remember, was it the first year, Vivian and Shantice, the first year of the conference, we had the blackout the night before?
Yes.
Was it the first year?
It was the first year.
And we were in the pitch black. But the church, that's what I mean when I say on that zone, because we had it at my house, but over at the church, they had all their, working, all the electricity was on. And one of the reasons is it's kind of like industrial over there. They're like stores and things. So after a certain amount of time, the businesses are closed. But over here where the homes are, we had the blackout. So, think about it on that level. based on usage and time of day. So, there's a lot of things to, kind of watch out for, and, taking it easy, just go to the mall, do some walk around, get some ice cream. But ladies, you have hit the nail on the head. Water is the key, to making sure that you are hydrated properly. All right. Anika says, I can't enjoy the heat. It's hard to breathe when it's too hot. So as an asthmatic, yes, we know. Ketty says, I can't enjoy this heat. It's too much. Can't breathe either. Another asthmatic. So, just getting to a cooling place is going to be essential for you. We got to check in from Miss Herlima. Where you been, girl? Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Terrence says, I think France had over 1,500 deaths the last 72 hours because of heat. Wow. Huge numbers. So prayers for the families in France, because I know they're suffering now. They've lost their loved ones and nobody was prepared for it. So, all righty. Next on our list, President Trump and his administration team have decided to suspend the funding for Medicaid fraud. They feel that there are not enough cases to continue to feed that area. And the officials don't agree. They say there are still hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars going down the drain because of Medicaid fraud. Vivian is citing a Long Island man who submitted over 6,000 fraudulent claims, stole over 2.5 million. Now, she mentioned something very interesting about baby formula. So either people thought that they were getting a certain quality of baby formula, or they didn't get any at all. And now they are looking to recoup some of that money. But Viv, did they say why he was like in some baby formula thing?
Because of either his family or patients. But he was saying that he needed this money to be able to give the babies. He had these kids who were ill and they needed a specialized formula. So they were giving him the funds to be able to purchase this formula and give it to the families, but he wasn't doing that. He was either buying regular formula, which was a lot cheaper, or he was just not providing formula for these families at all and just pocketing the money.
Wow. All right, Viv, it's on you.
Trump. I have yet to see any positive news come out with his name in it since he's been back in office. For you to say that there's not enough fraudulent activity going on, every other day we're hearing about this fraud. And to specify the Medicaid fraud, for them to be able to come back with this exact story, and this one man alone has 6,000 fraudulent claims. Wow. So only imagine how many more there are out there. So for you to say that there's not enough going on for you to fund this unit so that they can prevent and or get this money back from people who are stealing it, just makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't you want to get this money back? As much as we don't have money, they're always saying, as much as we're struggling with debt in this in the US alone, why wouldn't you want to fund a unit that's built to prevent these things from happening or recover this money back? It doesn't make sense. Nothing he does ever makes sense, though.
Absolutely. Lady Tamika, no funding into Medicaid fraud, but yet Medicaid fraud is happening, not just happening, but on a high end happening.
So he's taking this money so that he can continue to build his empire. Because that's the way that I see it. Because Medicaid fraud, anybody who's ever worked in healthcare in any capacity will tell you that there's all kinds of fraud everywhere, and every phone call you have to almost question, because, and it's sad because those that get over do more getting over, as opposed to those that are trying to do their everyday, task. I have seen corporations that have been getting over for a long time, and if you question them with certain things, they answer you a certain kind of way, which of course pulls up your antenna, like, what in the world is going on? And it's far worse than you can ever imagine. Not only that, if you work in any capacity of healthcare, one of the first things that they train you on incessantly, year after year, is fraud. And so for you to take that money away from there, where are you putting it, sir?
Absolutely. Shantice, do we need money in the Medicaid fraud fund?
Absolutely, but because you make it appear as though you don't benefit from Medicaid, it doesn't matter to you. Because again, as it was said, if you have all of these fraudulent claims throughout the city, throughout the counties, throughout the country, wherever, throughout the states, then you would want to recover said fraudulent funds so that you can ensure that those who need have. Since you're always crying broke, then you know what? The money we do have, we need to make sure we protect. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep this enforced. So even when they think that we've fallen asleep and we're not picking up on what they're doing, haha, bang, bang, we got you. No, but because it doesn't matter to you, because you don't benefit from it, let's now defund the Medicaid task force. And now let's put that money towards building another golf course, another park with greenery, and all of these other unnecessary secondary things that can take place instead of feeding people who are hungry, helping provide health care to people who don't have, because you're not benefiting from it. So now you need to find a way to benefit from this money. So the only way I can do that is if I cancel it out. I can't keep it in effect, but get the money from it. I have to cancel it. So it's not surprising at all.
Okay. Terrence says, going back, that's why I don't go out in the heat, asthma, and I think he's saying sleep apnea as well. And we have Serge, who says, since they're canceling Medicaid fraud, these workers who are on the inside that know the tricks of the trade will take advantage of this opportunity. That's actually a good point. Terrence says, I never heard any positive news from Trump either. And he says, I think he's doing this so people can steal more now. And then in other words, if he puts it back into effect, then he looks like the hero. It's pretty much the design that Terrence is giving us. So when you decide to defund something, you really want to make sure that you don't have this activity anymore, so you don't lose on the back end. Well, needless to say, even based on this one story, it's not gone. And like Vivian said, if one person can do this kind of damage, imagine what the clinics can do and the doctors can do. And like Lady Tamika said, this stuff comes from every direction. And if your eyes are closed, which they will be if he decides to pull the funding, like Serge said, those who know what to do, they're going to do it. Now, here's the thing that I thought was very interesting that Serge said that, because part of my thought went to how these people know how to do all of this. Mm-hmm. You got to be hearing this from somebody on the inside. Because how you just going to do this or whatever. And, I'm not saying that people can't come up with this stuff on their own, but I do believe that a lot of these ideas could come from the inside. Know how to milk the system. And what kind of nonprofit were you running that you had people thinking that you were going to be distributing specialized formula? Why you as an individual I'm trying to feel it. So I'm just gonna go to my next door neighbor and let him know that my baby don't drink regular formula. I need specialized formula, and he's gonna go put in a grant for a grant and get this money, and then they find out later. Well, how did that even work? So I couldn't understand why when she said a Long Island man. What? To me, I could see like a clinic or some type of a medical program or could get this done. But how would a man, a single man, why would y'all be giving a single individual money? I don't care if it was $1,000. Give him money to now be responsible for distributing formula. You know that many people who need specialized formula that you could continue to put in claims that would amount to, what did she say? That would amount to $2.5 million. Well, what families are you servicing?
Right.
And is it me? I'm just, I can't even imagine this. Now, even if you said like a church or, something like that, who filled out for like a pantry and they got a pantry grant and they're specializing in this, that makes sense. But when you're talking about a single person, nah, I'm with Serge. This is going to be who left the gate open, and how will they now learn to milk the system when by the time they caught him, he was at 2.5 million. Well, by the time they catch the next one, what they're going to be at 9.5 million? Because if this happened under your watch, what's going to happen when there is no watch? So I don't know. Sometimes my brain is a little wacky, but there's a lot of questions here. And I think shutting this down is only going to make things worse. Because once you know that it's shutting down, not only that, why is this in the news? Call me crazy. Why is this in the news? Why are we letting people know that Medicaid fraud fund is going to be dismantled? I don't know, y'all. There are more questions than answers for me, but this is only an indication of what it could look like. And here's the thing. Who suffers behind all of this?
Right.
Those of us who need Medicaid.
Right.
Those people who need, remember we at the top of the year, I think Vivian brought the story about how all the medical programs were going to become obsolete. Didn't you say that, Viv?
Yeah.
So what do you think is becoming obsolete? Because that's where the money's going. That's where the money's going. So, I know I told you all that my own health insurance shifted. I had to find another health insurance because last year that program went out. It went out. So now we had to find another one, and the benefits weren't as great. Well, how can they be when we have stuff like this? All righty. Terrence says it has to be in the news so more crimes can happen. Remember, we told the terrorists how to take down the Twin Towers. We told him they will not fall from the bottom. So you have to hit it from the top. Well, terrorists saying they gave up their weak points. Sir says the Long Island man is running a nonprofit organization. Right. That's what I said. What kind of nonprofit are you running? That's why they probably gave him the fund. Shaking my head. Those who truly are running a nonprofit organization will suffer. That's what I was saying Serge. Yes, he's running some kind of nonprofit organization. But again, look at the theme. So do you have a sign on your door that says if your child doesn't take regular formula, stop here? I don't understand how we get this word out like this. Anyway, all right, the wild story of the morning. The 11-year-old boy from Long Island who is autistic packed a bag, booked an Uber, made his way to JFK because he wanted to fly to Japan. And they did catch him, was able to, catch up with him in JFK Airport. Now his family wants to know, how could he have ridden alone in this Uber when Uber's rules say that you must be accompanied if you're a child, and they should have some things in place to prevent him from getting to the airport alone in this Uber car. And we saw the video where he came on down out of the house with his little suitcase, got in an Uber, and I suppose he pulled off afterwards. I don't know what he said when the driver asked, well, who else is going? Because I don't care what is going on. I refuse to, I believe that. So who knows? Who knows what was communicated? Lady Tamika, you got first dibs on this one.
We just finished talking about who left the gate open. All right, so I get that you're talking about the Uber driver. Which one of y'all fell asleep so deep you didn't hear the front door open? You didn't hear him coming down the stairs with a suitcase. Boom, boom, boom. You didn't hear the front door open. You don't have one of those alarms that said door open. You didn't hear him come into your room to get your phone to clink the Uber. He didn't do it. He didn't have an account of his own. In order to get an Uber, you have to have a bank account. He's 11 years old and he's autistic. What bank account does he have? So y'all was sleeping so hard. You didn't hear him come to your room. You didn't hear him grab your phone. You didn't hear him coming, rustling in his room to pack his suitcase. Like, what is little Johnny doing? What is little Boom Boom? What is little Nook Nook doing over there? So you slept that hard. He opened the door, went over there, and now, after all of that, you want to say something about the Uber driver. Yes, I get that the Uber driver is wrong, but my thing is, nowadays, we got things. I've seen little children in Ubers because mama said it was okay. You know, so 9 times out of 10, the Uber driver was like, I'm not going to say something. You know, sometimes we get in those situations where I'm going to mind my business and know this is a child, I'm going to mind my business, you know, because obviously somebody's account was linked to this because he doesn't have an account of his own. So as an Uber driver, okay, because if I say something, then it's going to be a problem. So I'm just not going to say anything. I'm going to take you to the airport. So that's what I go. That's how I feel about it. You know, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And mom and dad are more responsible than this Uber driver. That's where I'm staying with it.
Shanties.
We just keep failing these children, and failing these children. I have an 11-year-old niece where the system says she's regular. And if it's after a certain time and I'm in the lower part of the house, now she ain't sleeping. I ain't sleeping. But I don't leave her upstairs. If I decide to take a shower in the lower part of the house and it's only her and I in here, she comes down and takes a shower too. There's just ain't no, I'm in the shower and you on a whole other level of the house doing something. So now you sleep and this child was able to pack for Japan. So there was no regular luggage.
Gosh.
He wasn't flying to the next state. He was going to Japan. And he was able, that's why these labels we put on these kids, man. You heard he was autistic, so now you treating him like he's just disabled. And he said, I'm gonna show you, because I'm going to Japan. I'm not going to just get myself ready for school. I'm going to fly to Japan. Now let's fast forward this. I'm an Uber driver. I hear the bing, I look at my phone. Johnny, pick up here. Destination, JFK Airport. I see someone who's not even tall enough to get on the roller coaster come outside.
You saw him struggle to open the door.
Right. I see you struggle pulling this suitcase down.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
You smart enough to come and check with me before you get in the car.
Yes, he stopped at the passenger window. Yes.
You're smart. That's why I said stop with these labels with a lot of these kids, man. Stop. You were smart enough to follow protocol that as a passenger, I am to check whether I check to make sure the license plate match or whether I make sure you don't look crazy. Whatever you were checking for, you knew to check. So you weren't even tall enough to check with me. But I let you get in my car and I'm going to drive you who's not even tall enough to get on the roller coaster. And I'm dropping you where, little sir? At what airport? And I'm not arrested. Forget just having my Uber driver account canceled. I'm not arrested. Like, is everybody eat the slow Wheaties this morning? Like, besides him, he's the only smart one. The one that's labeled with autism is the only one with the brains out of all the adults. It's amazing to me. It's we gotta stop failing these children.
Vivian, please tell me what your thoughts are.
I beg to differ that they heard his diagnosis and treated him as though he was disabled. They heard his diagnosis and treated him as though he wasn't disabled, because what parent hears that my child is autistic and does not, like Miss Tamika said, put things into place to make sure that he cannot get up, come into my room, take my phone, enter in my password, order an Uber, go down. Like, who does not put things into place to make sure that my autistic child is where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be there, and at the very least cannot walk up out the front door without me being notified? Whether it's a bell on the door that when he opens that door it rings, whether it's a special lock that he can't unlock. Who has an autistic child and does not put things into place to make sure that he is safe? And I don't think that Uber driver spoke English. He saw.
Good. Yes, that's where I was going. I didn't want to come out and say it, Viv, but I was like, that far enough. Look back and went, okay.
Because JFK money, to go to JFK from anywhere, you get in bank. They charge you an arm and a leg to get, even if you're 5 minutes from the airport. If you need an Uber to JFK, they are banking on that. So he didn't care whether or not this child was accompanied or not. He just knew that ride was paid for. He looked over, saw this little boy. He probably asked a question, but couldn't say it properly. Boy didn't answer properly, so he's just like, whatever, let's go. So talk about policies. You need to make sure that your drivers can communicate with their passengers, whether they are children or adults. You're just hiring and allowing any old body to drive your fleet. And now this is what you get. Now you getting sued because you just allow any old body to drive, whether they speak English or not, when they work in a English speaking place. Like, everybody is just not wise in this situation.
So here's my question. What mama or daddy showed him how to use the Uber app? You mean to tell me you just figured it out on his own? Somebody in that household or somebody around that family showed this child how to use an Uber. Now listen, I got an Uber account, and every now and then I got to scratch my head like, why y'all keep changing stuff? Like, what is this? So I got to, okay, so somebody showed this child how to use Uber and explained to him the details, just in case. So now you got what you wanted to show him. Okay, now what? Who you gonna blame? Okay, the Uber driver. Yep.
I mean, he could have looked it up on YouTube. They're pretty wise. We talk about it all the time. How these little kids come out the womb and they know how to swipe and get to this app and all.
Yeah.
They ain't have to necessarily show him for him to learn.
Serge says, I have a question. Why is it that these parents, their first act of defense is to blame the company? Because it says money, Serge. Because anybody, I know I can sue them. So each of you have gone down a path. So I'm going to try not to repeat your path, but there's some questions that come up in my head. So I'm with every question that you have, every question that you ladies have expressed or put out there. I have the same question. Here's one of the thoughts I had. When I go to use the app, I have to open up the app. So like somebody, I think Shanti said, open up the phone, use the password, open up the app. I have to put in my destination.
Mm-hmm.
It just ain't gonna open up and then voila. I have to literally he had to put in JFK. He had to do that himself. If y'all gonna leave us to believe that he ordered the Uber. Because I'm gonna go there. I'm going there. Y'all want us to believe that all the stuff you ladies have said, nobody heard him moving around in the middle of the night. Even if I didn't think my autistic child would even go this far, I can't sleep like this because they're unpredictable. Children are unpredictable. We ain't even talking about our disabled children. Regular children are unpredictable. Who has a child in their home, especially someone who has been diagnosed with autism, and I don't hear anything when I tell you anything? Again, I also think about the fact that Uber and Lyft, they prompt you when the people are close.
Yeah.
They prompt you when they get there. So who slept through all of this? Please tell me who slept through all of the bing, 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 bing. And Lyft, Uber doesn't have, but Lyft has the vibrating. Within 2 minutes, your phone is vibrating. So who slept through all of that? Because did he take the phone with him? Because if he used the phone and put it back, y'all ain't heard none of that. You heard none of the prompting from the Uber, whatever. So I'm going to use those words. Y'all want us to believe that he did all of this, that he knew that in order for you to go to Japan, he didn't choose LaGuardia. He didn't choose Teterboro. Is Teterboro in Long Island? They have their own airport out in Long Island. So, but he chose JFK. Something wrong with this picture. Now, I'm going to go back to say, a couple of weeks ago, we had someone listening who thought we were very hard on the parents of Carmelo Anthony. That was an expression. They thought we were hard pretty much because we didn't understand and blah, blah, blah. We were hard on the parents. I'm sorry. Parents have a responsibility. And we may not all be perfect, but we have a responsibility. If this ain't, I'm raising an autistic child 101, I don't know what else is. Because you haven't even made it through the basics. The basics, like you all have said, no alarms on the door, no bell on the wrist, with nothing, absolutely nothing. So much to the degree where we could pick up the phone, put a password in, order an Uber at all. Then we gonna choose which airport we going to. When we got to the airport, I got out and I went in the airport and I was looking for the Japan sign because that's where I was headed. So now again, let's talk about this Uber driver and why they are liable. How many times have y'all booked an Uber and they called you?
Wait, you booked an Uber and they called you?
And yes, I've had Uber and Lyft. Literally, the driver has called me. So you telling me, because they have your phone number.
Mhm.
I've booked Ubers and like they had to tell me they're across the street because they're not allowed to be on the side of the street. In other words, they have the ability to call you. Why they called Stephanie, it doesn't matter. What the point I'm trying to make is you can make a phone call. But the first thing that came to my mind is what Vivian said. Why? Because I keep telling y'all this with Accessoride. 99% of the time you get somebody you can't even communicate with. So can you imagine an autistic child trying to communicate with a person that doesn't speak English and a person who doesn't speak English trying to communicate with an autistic child? Can you imagine this combination? So yes, like one of you said, when he looked left and he looked right, he saw, oh, well, I'm headed to JFK to make this money. And not only that, if I go to JFK, I can now pick up when someone is pulling for an Uber from JFK. You follow what I'm saying? I'm already there.
Mhm.
I don't have to spend the gas or the time to get there to get the ride because I'm already there. So when they send the signal, oh, we got somebody going to Manhattan, we got somebody going to Brooklyn, we got somebody going here, you can snatch that up because you're right there.
Mhm.
So pretty much he had one focus, and that was it. It was not a child is getting to my car and I'm taking this child to the airport. You could not pick up the phone and say, I have a child and is there another person coming? Nothing. Why? Because you can't talk English and all you think about is the dollar. Bottom line. And we're criticized for the negligence of talking about the negligence of these parents. So Serge is asking, well, why are they going to the company to sue? Because that's all they're thinking about. Because ain't nobody putting it. Because can I be honest with you? I thought Vivian's story was going to say, and they have been arrested. That's where I thought you were going. And I'm mad that was not part of the story, personally. Because that's the same way that boy could have ended up anywhere. He could have ended up anywhere. He didn't have to call an Uber. He could have ended up anywhere by himself. And I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting for you to catch up with him. Nah, y'all are too much. I really thought Vivian was going to say, and the parents have been arrested and charged with. I can't imagine that they have not been charged with anything. Terrence says, or maybe the family don't know the meaning of autistic and thought he was stupid. Well, whether they thought he was stupid or autistic, somebody told the story by the time it got to the news that he's been diagnosed with autism.
Right, and that's exactly where my thought was going. So how did the news find out he was autistic? That had to have come from the source of the family. So this could have been
because that's part of their claim.
Exactly. Oh, well, he is autistic. So, he just got up and did this. That's one of the first. I'm like, but how would they know to report that he had anything? Autism, Down syndrome, slowness, whatever. Right. How would they know this unless the family gave that information? So now you're using that as a crutch. They'd be like, well, this is why he did it. It didn't say he woke up and knocked y'all over the head with a frozen ham and ran up out the house. So unless that happened, you're still negligent. Because you had every bit of ability to catch on to what was being done, which makes y'all look even crazier.
Absolutely. So if they didn't understand the meaning of autism, then shame on them. There ain't no excuse here. Woo for you. But you managed to throw that in because you want the blame to be put on the Uber driver that he couldn't communicate. See, that's where you going. Oh, he got in and he couldn't communicate. So how did you take him? How would you will your policies? Where's the policy that you're supposed to be a parent?
Right.
and you have responsibility for your autistic child. Where is that? Help me with that. Because I would be nice and ashamed if this was me and my family in some news for this garbage here. And luckily, you have not been charged. Shut up, go close your blinds and move on. Because this can very well turn out to be bigger than you anticipated. Because if I was in the police department, oh, you'd be the first one I'm coming for. The Uber driver would be the second individual I'm coming for. The Uber company would be the third individual I'm coming for. But surely you will not be eliminated and you won't be last. All right. We have off. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Off the BP. Informative, interesting, and funny. This is a very good show. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. Just a bunch of people just sharing their thoughts and giving some advisement for those who want to be pointed in another direction. We appreciate that. Thank you. Terry says that boy not putting that phone back. It was left in the kitchen. And maybe you're right, Terrence. And maybe you're right. And I'm trying to. We have a few more minutes, and I'm trying to make this a productive end. And how do we do that? Because when I got that word that, I think it would be too hard on the parents. You know what it made me think about? Remember, I think right after that or right before then, there was I think it was right after that where there was a story of they thought that something that the parents should have been responsible for, they put the blame someplace else. And when I think it was the mom was negligent, and they said that had she not been in an economic area or the social injustice that's done, that she wouldn't have had to do it, but she had to do it. So why is the news blaming her for doing what they're supposed to do? I'm gonna ask you, Vivian. You may not be able to come out and say it, but in an cryptic type of way, what have been some of the negligent areas that you've seen children in? And I'm going to start with you. I'm going to ask everybody, but I'm going to start with you. And I'm saying, see, we can speak openly, but you may have to speak a little cryptic. So what have you seen where, in your opinion, this is like parenting 101, but I've seen this?
I mean, right now I'm in a special education setting, and I feel like it's negligent of the parents when your child is not in the proper setting and you're not fighting for that child's rights. Because you are possibly just okay with your child being out of the house for X amount of hours, whatever. But how is this benefiting your child in the long run? So they're throwing your child in a classroom where they're not able to learn. So you got a babysitting service. And is that okay with you when your child then has to leave this service and go into kindergarten, first grade? Like their educational journey really starts after this, and they don't have a leg up because you just allowed them to just be thrown anywhere, and you're not fighting for the proper setting for your child so that they can learn, they can grow, they can, actually receive the services that they need to be receiving. So I feel like that's that's a type of negligence that I see a lot. There are very little parents in this system that take the time to learn their rights as parents, that takes the time to learn the rights of their children, and who actually fight for those rights to be given to their children properly. And that's negligence.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. It is absolute negligence, because You're on the front line. You're supposed to be on the front line for your child. The child can't represent themselves.
Themselves.
So, right. So now they have to rely on you to do it. And like Vivian said, if you're just operating, as I'm dropping my kid off, so, I have somewhere for them to go, and being that they're supposed to be in school anyway, and I just have somebody pick them up, or I'm in a facility where they have some after school program and I can pick them up, when I get off work. That is negligent because that child is relying on you. I told y'all, we have someone that we know. The child was diagnosed with an illness. And we literally watched this child deteriorate right in front of our eyes. Every time we saw him, he was able to do less and less and less until he got to where he was in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Wow.
Very early, where, the one of the benefits is to catch these things early.
Right.
Because now they can work, and children are a lot more resilient than, some of us believe. And therapy and treatment and focus and care. But you have one of these people like Vivian is describing, one of these parents who just didn't do anything. Very young. When we looked and he was walking a certain way, we were like, what happened? No follow-up. So it is negligence 101. Lady Tamika, where have you seen a parent be negligent and they should be more on their game?
I remember big mamas and either mothers of old, they did far more than what's being done now. They had multiple children and they were always checking, even, the generation before mine, they listened, looked, if that child was away, and we're not even talking about a special needs child. We're just talking about your everyday child. If that child was away from them for too long, what you doing? My mother, I laugh and I giggle and I often say, she would kick the door up. What you doing? I'm just watching TV, or I'm doing something. But, as crazy as it may seem, it taught me, that you care. And as crazy as it may seem, and now it's just, push the baby off on the babysitter, push the baby off on the daycare, push the baby off on the educators. And there are so many different things that you as a parent, you have a responsibility for. And I can speak transparently about a situation. So there is a school that I'm aware of that they're trying to assist the students with getting glasses for free. The only thing that the parent has to do is sign. And, you're not even trying. One parent even said, well, I tried last year and they didn't give it to me. You didn't push, you didn't advocate, you didn't inquire, you didn't do any of your due diligence to make sure that your child had what was needed.
Right.
You're not gonna you're not gonna advocate for your child. You're just gonna say, well, they didn't give it to me, that's it. And then because she was verbalizing, then somebody else says, well, I'm not gonna try. You're not even gonna try to advocate. Not at all. You're not going to say anything. You're not going to pursue anything. So you're going to try it one time, even with the word, the quote, if at first you don't succeed, you're just going to give up. That's the way that goes, And so my thing is, you ought to be more looking forward to or trying for your precious cargo. And
she done tapped herself out. Ha ha! Oh my goodness gracious. What happened? All right, Shantice, go ahead and we'll allow her to continue when she comes back.
I've been witnessing these parents be negligent in situations like this where they figure at 2 they can bathe themselves, make themselves dinner, they can pick out their clothes, they can iron the clothes, they can travel to school, they can choose the school they want to go to, all in the name of I'm a lazy parent. And I've asked a few parents, like, what makes you think at this point in their life they're able to do this? Oh no, they could do it. And I've gone to the child. I'm like, okay, so show me how you do this. Because your parent, mother or father, has said you can. And I just stand there and watch, and I'm like, wow. So is this what you do? So now I'm starting to believe this is how you move in your life, that you would either blindly say they can do this or see them do this, claim they are, and deem this successful enough for you to try to convince them that they can, also that you won't have to. So I let my child dress themselves because I don't feel like doing it. I let my child bathe themselves because I don't feel like doing it. And it's like, well, did you realize that as a parent, you would have to do some things? Do you realize, like, I really don't think I think a lot of people jump at the fact of wanting to be parents because of the status, because of how it looks, because I get to post my child, because in my bio, I get to say a boy mom or dad, girl dad, and all of this. But I'm really skipping the fact that I'm going to have to change a diaper. I'm going to have to do some laundry. Not only am I going to have to do, but I'm going to have to teach my child when they get to a certain age how to do these things. No, it's like not enough of us think of that. So I'm really watching the negligence in that. Like people wanting these kids for vain reasons. And then when they get here, it's like you gave birth to an adult. No. You did not give birth to a midget that can now live life on their own. That is not how this works. It's amazing.
No, wow. Lady Tamika, we know you got disconnected. So I want to give you a chance to finish your thought.
Yeah. So doing your due diligence as a parent is so crucial. You know, I talked about the eyeglasses for this particular school. In order for the children, just any set of children to get these glasses, we have to have a minimum of 75 children to get the glasses. How many do we have? 20.
Wow.
So you mean to tell me you as a parent can't do your due diligence for your child who has to sit to the front and do this for the rest of, or, you know, they're engaging with their friends, so they're not getting what's necessary, you know, and you don't care. Now, let's talk about, you know, a special needs child. Sometimes what your mentality is, oh, he or she is special. So you don't even do your due diligence to provide, to inquire, to do, you know, how did this child get out? You didn't hear the suitcase roll across the house, whether there was carpet or not. And I'm looking, you're not listening. You know, sometimes that means that, you know, I remember when I was a child and coming in, my mother wouldn't sleep until I got in the house. She couldn't sleep because that's your job.
Right.
Come on, y'all fingers. One, how many jobs you got? One job, and you got to stay on the job. You don't get a chance to relax. You don't get a chance to rest. Do more due diligence. Doesn't matter whether your child is labeled special or not. Do what you're supposed to do. That's a 24-hour job. It doesn't stop when they're 12. It doesn't stop when they're 20. It doesn't stop when they're 50. It stops when you die. Do what you're supposed to do. I'm done.
That's right. Terrence says the system didn't want Tamika to give out all the jewels. You know, he loves your earrings, Tamika. He says, sad to say, but you're right, Shantice. People want kids so that they can post on internet. So I had a thought. Trying to think of where my thought was going to kind of put a close to this, kind of wrapping up what all of you have said. But, you know, like Lady Tamika said, parenting doesn't end when they're 18. I've seen some parents just say, listen, once they get 18, and they meant that thing, they were out the house. They were not allowed to stay. Listen, you're 18, you're grown. And that's the theory, that, you know, parenting ends. Some people don't even start the parenting. Oh, here's where I was going. Here's a problem with everything all of you have said. We have gotten to a point where you can't tell people, you can't suggest to people anything about their kids. Everybody,
Right.
they in an uproar. Nobody could tell me about my kid. Nobody knows my kid like me. That's what you did with yours, or that's how they did with us, and this is why I want to do it with them. You're talking about an educator. You're talking about someone who actually she's toddler. She has toddlers. And when you are looking at a toddler who is not functioning on a regular level, the teachers aren't the ones that are noticing this. You notice this from home. You know what you've seen. You know what you've seen at home.
Mhm.
But yet they take exception to even if a teacher were to say. I've had teachers say, I can't say nothing to the parents. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to know it. They get an attitude, so forth and so on. It happens. So not only do you not want to take advice or guidance from your children's educators, grandma can't say nothing, big mama can't say nothing, the next door neighbor can't say nothing, the janitor can't say, nobody can say anything. And this is how we get here, because none of us know it all. None of us as parents know it all. Miss Grace says, I love it. You got one job, girl. You better tell that thing I love it. But it's true. You have one job, and that's to focus on your children. And unfortunately, for multiple reasons, the focus is elsewhere. But one of the prime reasons why our children cannot get the care that they need to is because you can't speak to the parents. Everybody's just got a chip on their shoulder. And like I said, it comes from the educators complaining about this. Can you imagine seeing a child in your class who need more, but you can't do but so much, and the parent is sitting back and they ain't doing nothing?
That part.
You're watching this. You're watching this go down the drain, but you can't say anything because mom and or dad, whether they're in some level of denial or they're just angry or they just don't want to believe, that or what they're saying is something different. I'm trying to figure out, Terrence kind of made a remark about, hey, they didn't think he was special needs, but they thought he was just stupid. Well, guess what? He showed you how stupid he wasn't. Is he stupid now? Because you are the stupid one who allowed all of this to go on, and now he ends up at JFK, where someone there would have been a checks and balance. Because first of all, he wouldn't have had no ticket, so he couldn't have gone but so far. He couldn't go to a kiosk and pull up anything. So somewhere along the line, there would have been a check and balance that would have forbidden him to go any further. But it sure didn't start in his home. Ladies, it's been great. Thank you, Vivian, for your items today, as always. Ladies, thank you for your contribution into today's conversation, and we pray you have a blessed day.
Have a
Thank
blessed
you.
one,
You
everybody.
too.
Have a good day,
Amen.
ladies.
Amen. Vivian, enjoy that Florida sun. I'm going to be very honest. When you sit in the seat where we sit each day and you're hearing these stories, we talk about a lot of stuff here. Remember, this is 5 days a week. 5 days a week. Every once in a while, the Due Time crew will have a holiday. Every once in a while, I'll be sick. And even when I'm sick, most times Shantice, she operates the show. So we don't have a lot of days where I have to notify people and say, hey, we're not on today. But every day we're on. We're talking about someone fell through the cracks. And 99.9% of the time, it didn't have to happen that way. Forget about God right now. It didn't have to happen that way. But then we have to add God into the equation. Because see, there are some people that, the word of God says the rain falls on the just as well as the unjust. So here's how I'm going to put that. So you have some people with just common sense. They don't have to have the Lord to have common sense. In other words, not that God is not giving them this way of thinking, but they don't go to church. They haven't accepted Christ. That's the way I'm separating the two. And then there are those of us who, if it weren't for the grace of God, we wouldn't have a thought. And either way, you're playing Russian roulette. When you don't decisively go to God and let God direct your path, you are playing Russian roulette, not only with your life, but if you got kids, you're playing Russian roulette with their life. When you decide, I'm not going to church, this church ain't good enough for me, I got to do this on a Sunday or Saturday, I can't go to church because I'm too busy. I can go to work all week, but it's too cold for me to take my child out to go to church. You're playing Russian roulette. The word of God says, have no other gods before me. See, don't think that this stuff is disconnected. Don't think for 1 minute that this is not disconnected. We just got finished hearing from Vivian that there's a surge in now we have 30 million registered couples married. But how many did we not get a surge of stories and cases of negligent parents? We just talked last week about a dad who knew his child was experimenting with this Benadryl challenge. He said, he at his own admittance said, I knew she had tried it, but you took no safeguards into talking to her or preventing this from happening. She's 15. And we can't stop people from doing what they want to do. And that's including children at times, especially when they're off to go to school by themselves and take a bus by themselves, or, they have some level of freedom and they can meet. We allow them to meet up with friends, or we allow them to go to friends' houses and all of that kind of stuff. Because see, when I was growing up, your parents told you, you got your own house. Tell them to come over here. They didn't release you to go to so-and-so's house. And now parents are so lackadaisical and easygoing that you don't even have to be home anymore. What? If that parent wasn't home when you asked, your mama was picking up that phone. Hey, Gail, you gonna be there? Because Stephanie said you gonna be there. Marcus, you gonna be there because Johnny wants to come over and be with Paul. Yo, they didn't play that. But because we've gotten to a point where you can't tell people about their kids, because you've gotten to a point where everybody knows everything. So even the couples, we've seen an increase. So we've seen an increase in the married couples and the marriages, but we've also seen an increase in negligent parents. So do I really care that there's an increase in marriages more than I'm caring about? Y'all get the marriages together and pay attention to your children. Because see, that's the real deal right here. Because if dad is off working, because he got to feed the family and take care of the family and pay the rent or pay the mortgage, and mom is a helicopter parent, or she trying to go to school and get her degree, yo, what happens? What happens in all of that? There is something called balance, and it is essential, because there is no book that's written as to how to be a parent, but the Creator can help you be that parent. As a parent, you ain't gonna get it all right, even with Jesus, because there's two people working in the equation. And no matter what kind of checks and balances you put into place, if your child is on their own mission, it ain't going to matter. We've seen punishment, we've seen beatings, we've seen restrictions, we've seen that, and the child still goes out and does what they want to do. You can't stop it all. But you can't be blamed for trying. Nobody can blame you. I used to have an aunt. She used to say, great aunt. She would say, nothing beats a failure but a try. And she would say it so quickly. And I just didn't want to ask Aunt Vivian, you're like, what did you say? But she said it all the time. I don't care what happened. She said, listen, Steph, go ahead. I love the fact that you're goal-oriented because nothing beats a failure but a try. Do you realize I think Aunt Vivian had been dead about 10 years before one day something was happening and I heard nothing beats a failure but a try. But I heard it. Aunt Vivian used to say, nothing beats a failure but a try, Steph. I heard it that day. Nothing beats a failure but a try. I heard it at that speed. And when I caught it at that speed, I was like, oh, that's what she says. That's what she was. Oh my God, she said that all my life. I was a big grown adult, 10 years past her even being here. And I was like, yo, it's true. Nobody can fault you for trying to do it the right way. Pay attention. I didn't say no one can fault you for trying to do it your way. Trying to do it the right way. So we said, well, what's the right way? Well, if you're trying and your intent is good, that's the right way. No! There's only one that's right. And his name is God. His son's name is Jesus. And here's what I love about God's plan. He didn't give us a set of rules, the Bible. He didn't give that to us and say, here you go. Nothing beats a failure but a try. Oh! Did I just say that? He didn't hand you the Bible and say, go ahead, figure it out, make it happen. I'll just act for you trying. He gave us the Holy Spirit to be that push, to give us a semblance of understanding, to help decode what's written. Because you'll get one scripture, you get 150 million interpretations. And you're like, well, how did we get here? It says one thing. The Spirit of the Lord will deliver as to what that actually means. And one of the things you have to do with the Spirit of the Lord, the Spirit of the Lord opens your mind up. You're not going to look at no one verse and that's going to be the verse you live on. Pastor KL says it all the time. It's for those people who know one or two verses and they live on that and that's it. Nothing else makes a difference. Nothing else changes anything. Because the one thing I love about the Bible is it reconciles itself. It reconciles itself. You're never going to be able to pull out one scripture and you ain't got nothing else in that Bible to be associated with that, to help to support that. And for those of you who have a reference Bible, that's what I'm talking about. So when you read this scripture, it'll give you like the little, well, also see Luke this and John that. Always. There's always another scripture to reconcile. Why am I putting it this way? Because your way as a parent is not going to be the end all and be all. You need a source to go to first. Because see, here's the problem. A lot of us are leaning on how we were raised. Oh, they made me go in church, or maybe we go to church all the time. And we went to church Sunday, went back for afternoon, went back for the evening. We was in church Monday for Bible study, Tuesday for a choir rehearsal, Wednesday for missionary studies, and Wednesday for this and Thursday for that. And they could call out everything. So now I don't even want to go to church because I was always going to church every breaking moment. Can you really fault a parent who says, you know what? Jesus is the way, and that's the way I want to raise you. Now, you may have gotten to the point where um, where you feel it was excessive. So why remove it all from your children? Why remove it all? Just find the balance. For them, that was their balance. It may have appeared excessive, but for them, that was their balance. But pulling God away from your children altogether, what is that? So you have a child who has literally, check this out. They said he packed his bag. There's some semblance of understanding. And like Shanti said, he's packing to go to Japan. He had a destination in mind. So whatever he understood about Japanese living and how they wear their clothes and what clothes they wear, he packed accordingly. He pulled up an Uber. He didn't even dial for a car service like we used to, because that takes a few more steps than just flagging down a cab or calling, Wakefield car service and saying, can I have a cab to such a place? He strategically opened up the app, went past the code, because all phones have codes on them, pretty much, went past the code, went into the app. That's why Lady Tamika said, who taught him? Because for some people, you can't convince them that somebody didn't show. And you know what? Maybe they did say, in the case of an emergency, let me show you how. So the thought may not be as foreign as we think. But however he did it, he strategically put in a destination. He didn't say, I want to go to Japan, but I'm going to Penn Station. He didn't say, I want to go to Japan, but I'm going to go to Greyhound. He said, I want to go to Japan, and he went to the airport, because that's the only way you're going to get to Japan from Long Island. He had enough to understand that. So we understand that they say that the brain is just amazing. It's multifaceted. Nobody could ever really and truly understand the brain. Why? Because every brain operates differently. So you have a class of children who have been diagnosed with autism. Everybody ain't operating like him. Everybody's not operating like the other one. There are some autistic children who are a magnificent instrumentalists. They read music. Coming from that ain't no joke. Because when you read music, you got to read the notes. You got to know how long to hold it. You got to know what key you're in. You got to know a whole lot of stuff. But an autistic child can be a phenomenal instrumentalist. So say everybody who's diagnosed as autistic is not going to operate the same. So let God be your guide, because see, here's what happens. God knows where you are. God knows that you done went through school and you only got a 9th grade education. God knows that you were able to get your PhD. God knows that somewhere in you got some basic sense, but you do more on the book side. God knows that the book side you ain't great at, but you got some good basic common sense and some intellect. And God builds on whatever it is we have. But when we don't give ourselves to God, what is he building on? That's almost like going on to a vacant property and just saying, oh, it's vacant. I'm going to put a grocery store here. Oh, it's vacant. I'm going to put a pharmacy here. No. Every property has a designated purpose. So that's why you can't put buildings on certain ground, because the ground was never put together to hold the weight of a high-rise building. You can't put a factory in the middle of a residential area, because all that takes place in a factory is not good for the environment of where people live. And God understands all of this. That's the way God looks at his people. I'm dealing with Stephanie, and I am going to work on Stephanie based on what she's offering me, based on what I already know she's been designed to do, because I know the plans I have for you. So that's why a lot of times we are parents and we ain't got no business being nobody's parent. Let me just put that out there. Not everybody who gives birth is designed to be a parent. And we have seen that. That ain't got nothing to do with judgment. That ain't got nothing to do with, oh, we being too hard. That is simply fact. Everybody who's married ain't meant to be a spouse. Every doctor who has a degree ain't meant to be a doctor. Everybody is not walking in their call. Down to parenting. Just because you gave birth does not mean that you are designed to be a parent. So we have to understand that sometimes these things can affect what we do. Everybody giving birth. Everybody giving birth. The worst thing in the world is when Trump came in and told everybody they can't have no abortion. That's the way we look at it. But even in little nuances, we can see God. And y'all better work that one out. Don't write to me talking about, well, are you saying you can? Work it out. Work it out. Let the Spirit of the Lord open up your mind so you can understand what I'm saying. Everything ain't so clean or clearly cut. And being a parent is not clean and clearly cut. You have people who are police officers. They do a wonderful job. You got others who, boy, give them a little rope. They want to be a cowboy. They all out of control. They putting people in bad situations. We have ICE who was raping women. I mean, it is just, everything has its bad side to it. That's why we need God, because only God keeps us focused. And even if we're focused, we off the path sometimes. Do you realize how many times God's got to kind of put you back in place because you just stepped over here because you meant well, and you just stepped over here because somebody told you it was good? But God's got to streamline your life and put you right back on track, no matter what you've done. But when we don't give our lives to God, then we really don't reap the benefits of being put back on line. So I behoove you today. It behooves you today. I encourage you today to let's step out of that oops moment. Let's step out of the oops moment. Not only that, having God as the center of your life allows you to grab first your accountability on things. This whole thing, well, the Uber driver didn't. He didn't do maybe one or two things. You failed multiple times in multiple areas. And I'm telling you personally, they would be locked up. And no merit would be given to anything. Because had you had your ducks in a row, that boy would have never been able to even fall into the hands of an Uber driver who was negligent. I'm not putting the blame there first before I put the blame where it starts. And that's why we're so messed up. Because I always encourage you, look in the mirror. Ask God, what do you want me to do? Have I failed you? Have you given me an assignment that I just haven't lived up to? Did I tell you, here I am, send me, and when you did so, I failed? No, I can't be looking to other people and look at their failures before I look at my own, and I'm having a big problem with that. I'm having a big, I live it, I see it. Everywhere I look, it's always you. It is never me. It is I hardly ever see me. What did I do? Where have I gone wrong? How have I missed the mark? It's always you. Had you done this, I would have been able to do that. If you hadn't done this, I wouldn't have done that. No, that's not, there's nothing near righteousness. Nothing near God. That is ungodly to the max, because you do not see anything in that word of God that says what you do is based on what everybody else does. Everything says you, me. Study yourself. Study to show yourself approved. But seek ye first me, and everything will be added unto you. Not unto your group, not unto your classroom, not your hospital. No, unto you. Treat your neighbor as yourself. So it starts with you. How we always looking around is amazing to me. What part of that is God? That's why we can't get nowhere. Because we're always so busy pointing finger. You know, and they say in the street, well, when you point at one thing, you got 3 fingers pointing back to your eye. Whether you want to use that as an equation or example, it's up to you. But all I'm challenging you to do is to go look up in that mirror. Go ask God, how could I have operated differently? Because had these parents asked themselves first, or had this household asked themselves that first, you would have never met, well, the Uber driver was negligent. Because in my personal opinion, with all the ladies, each one of them spelled it out. Ain't no way in the world that boy would have been in no Uber car if they had done anything the ladies described. So how is it that we still pointing fingers at people? I really want you to go to God and ask God, is it okay that I tell you, or that I don't function the way I'm supposed to function because I'm watching what everybody else does? Ask him, please come back and let me know. Because everywhere I look in the Bible, it talks about you. It talks about how to respond. When the word of God says, when someone slaps you, you turn the other cheek. You. When someone offends you, 7 times 70, you must forgive. So that says even when somebody did something to me, I still have the ownership, that I have the responsibility. It's in my lap. Because now if I respond in a bad way, who is God charging? Me with my actions. God's not charging them with my actions necessarily. God is looking at what you did, Stephanie. No. So I done fell on hard times. So now I need to go to the store and steal. So now you go to the store and steal. So now they need to take the hit. They have nothing to do with your failure, whether it was your fault or not, but now their numbers should reflect your failure. But now that's their problem. That belongs to these people, and they rich and they won't miss it. That doesn't give us carte blanche to do what we want to do. We're going to have to really think about this thing. And if you consider yourself a child of God, baby, you know, I keep telling people, stop thinking on your level. What is God saying about this thing? Because see, we can always find fault, failure, excuse for why we do what we do. Because once it's done, woo, it's done. It's done. You can't take back what was said. You can't take back what was done. Even if you go back and apologize, understand that there is consequence on every single time we do something incorrectly, whether we understand it was incorrect or not. So all these things today, we have to take responsibility for. You know, I'm in a partnership. I'm a couple, part of a couple, and you know, we got married. I wish every married couple thought positively and would think to work things out. Because the stuff we doing here, that ain't saying love. Not saying love at all. All the things that we have to pay attention to, we need to stand up and salute God. God, you got me, and I ain't moving till I take you. and I'm not going to live any other way. When you make that decision, there are less oops in your life. Because there are going to be times when we don't listen to the Spirit of the Lord, and we should have. But most times you are going to listen to the Spirit of the Lord, so that's less. Most times when you listen to the Spirit of the Lord, that decision will help you with another decision. The Spirit of the Lord ain't going to have to be ringing no bell every 5 seconds, because you're going to be able to connect the dots and say, well, you know what, if I didn't do that here, then I have no business doing that here. That when I did this here, it's okay to do that here. And when the Spirit of the Lord is directing me, I'm going to follow what the Spirit of the Lord is telling me to do. And I am finding too often that the Spirit of the Lord is ringing a bell and we doing what we want to do, and now we eating behind every single thing with nastiness, the lack of respect and thoughtfulness, and the lack of love, all because of what we think. We don't have time for that, because that's going to take us down, and that's going to dig us in a ditch that we're not going to be able to get out of. Or while we're coming up out that ditch, we losing at the surface because we still down below. So come on, join this team of God is the head of my life for real. Not just God's the head of my life. God is the head of my life for real. I would love to see you on board with me. And it's not because Stephanie is perfect, because Stephanie is the person who I ask God, what do you say about this before I do what I do? When I respond or when I say something, it's led by God. Yeah, might seem a little harsh, but guess what? If harsh is what needs to happen, then harsh is what needs to happen. If firm and confident, because a lot of people mistake your confidence for being mean. No, I just know what I need to be doing. And because of your lack of confidence, you see everybody else as being mean. So come on, let's get this together. Let's go on this journey together. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew, the ladies, for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping us keep that chat room alive. Please do not miss this opportunity to give your life to Christ right now. Please do not miss the opportunity to just strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now, because later is not promised to any of us. Well, tomorrow night's My Two Cents has been canceled due to some other engagement, but I'm looking forward to seeing you God's Space tomorrow for Therapeutic Thursday. Until then, I love you.